Hello, Bizarre Story friends. You've tuned into the Bizarre AF, a place where we talk about the strange, the unusual, the unknown, and all things Bizarre AF. I'm Kevin. I'm going to be your host for today's episode. As always, we ask that you keep an open mind, keep a skeptical ear, but keep listening to the facts as we take you on our newest journey, hunting the already dead paranormal investigators. Well, hello, my co-hostess with the mostess, Alicia. Hey, girl.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm loving this new setup. It's very different.
I'm digging it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's a very different feel,
Different
right?
vibe.
Different vibe, but still in the same family, which is good.
Yeah, I think, as time, if you're not watching, it's just, we moved into a different room. It's less studio-ish and a little bit more intimate.
Yes.
But I think it'll grow. Over time, we'll make it.
For sure.
Into,
Yeah. I mean, the last studio was built over how much time?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Gosh, it's been, so
yeah.
It definitely feels a little bit different, but I like the brighter vibes. I think it's really fun.
You too.
And I'm enjoying a different space.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Something different and interesting. Yeah. Cool.
We're like butterfly. We're like caterpillars, turning into butterflies.
Evolving.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what do you know about PIs or paranormal investigators? Do you ever watch any of those shows?
Yes. Yeah, they used to be back before years ago. It used to just be one show. It was Ghost Hunters or something.
Right.
And then Ghost Adventures came out. And can I tell you something that I hate admitting?
Yeah.
And this is honestly shame on me, but I kind of have a weird thing for Zach Bagans, who's in Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, I think I know who that is.
Yeah, he's the total bro, douchey dude.
The douchey.
Yeah, but I'm I kind of like it.
Of course you do.
I used to have dreams about him. When the show was first, I was oh my God, okay, Zach. It was a very yeah, it was there were different vibes for sure.
Hilarious.
But do I recognize? Yeah, he's an idiot. I mean, is a lot of that shit fake? Yes. But
yeah, still
kind of love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just it too. A lot of that stuff can be very made for TV, but some of it is truly legit. And so ghost hunting, or as, we'll refer to it here, paranormal investigating, which is a bit more fancy of a word. And for short, I might say PI.
Right. I thought you were going to say private investigator.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This paranormal investigators, what
Okay.
what am I going to mean? And so really it's the practice of investigating locations that are, purported to be haunted by apparitions or spirits.
Sure, yeah.
But generally it's done by things that can't be explained. Typically is why you bring them in. And this field, it mixes a lot of folklore with ancient techniques, but also new technology, which, I'm a total nerd.
Right, yeah.
So when the technology stuff comes in, I'm hails yes.
You're all about it.
All about it.
Yeah.
But, when you mix these together, take voodoo, for example, where we
Right.
talked about that.
Yeah.
We talked about the origin of that and how it's kind of a blend of the Catholic symbols and the rituals with more of the West African beliefs and the techniques and things like that. And that's what made all the rich white people suckers
Right.
for it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what happens, like kind of with this too. Like you start mixing all of that folklore stuff and then those ancient techniques with the new technology. It
Yes.
just makes people, fascinated by it.
Right. It's unexplained. And oftentimes people are looking for answers, right?
Well, that's the bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah. So you, let's say there's some kind of unexplained thing, or you're trying to reach out to like a loved one who tragically died.
Yes.
Like you're going to try to seek any kind of person who says that they know what the fuck they're talking about this, because no one does. And you start getting into the world of pseudoscience.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And scammers.
Scammers, yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. It's a huge piece of it.
So in this episode, we're going to talk about the different methods that the PIs employ in their work, and it's going to be ranging from old traditional practices to this, all this new modern technological approaches. Now, as I mentioned before, investigators will generally focus on events and experiences that really lack a conventional explanation. It's generally why they're brought in. And this includes the sightings of apparitions, unexplained noises, or objects moving without apparent cause.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen an apparition, Alicia?
Okay. I've seen some shit I cannot explain. I used to work at the Denver Art Museum, and it was probably my favorite job. If I could actually get paid real money to do it, I would do it. But because I love art. Anyway, it was there was this point in time where there was a lot of weird shit happening in the museum, and it's well known to all of the security guards that there's like some weird shit. So people were seeing things at that point in time. One woman saw like a woman with like really high neckline inside the bathroom, and she thought it was like one of the managers, and no one would go down there. It was like at the end of the night, so everyone was kicked out, dressed up in like a Victorian outfit. God. So creepy.
Sounds like Ghostbusters.
Yeah. And so I had like around that time, it was like within like a 2-week span, a lot of weird shit was happening at the museum, and I had something follow me home. And Dave and I were...
Wait, how did you know?
Okay, so first, like, when you were a teenager, I would fall asleep during class. Had you done that before? Because, you'd stay up late or something, and or you fall asleep in some kind of public space and you can feel people looking at you. Like for me, it was like during class, and like I could feel people like looking at me and
judging you,
or just like, you're like, it's just like, yes, judging you. Like, why are you falling asleep? It's like, well, let me tell you. But you fall asleep, and you can feel people like staring at you. And so it causes you to wake up. It's like a different sense. So I had that sense that someone was staring at me, and Dave and I had just moved into this new place. And we had literally moved like our bed in and like a couple of boxes and like a couch. So there's like not much in it. And it's straight shot into 2 windows that like our bedroom, like you could see right into the living room. Straight ahead, there were like 2 windows right below a street light. And so like the street light illuminated like those windows. And there were just a couple of boxes that were like stacked, but I felt like something was looking at me, and I just like woke up and I looked like out to the living room, and because I didn't shake off when I woke up, I looked out to the living room and I saw like this, like it looked like a child with like a white floppy bow on the side of her head, staring at me. And it wasn't.
How far away was she?
It was probably like 20 feet away, 25 feet away, 20, 25.
So close.
Pretty close. Yeah, it was pretty close. It was a 1-bedroom apartment, and literally it was like kind of like a hallway. So like it went, living room, the kitchen was right over, and then, bathroom and bedroom were like right, like down kind of like a little hallway.
But she wasn't like shimmery, transparent.
Not shimmery. When you wake up and it's like black and white, and like you can't, like, because it's dark, like your eyes can't really see color.
Sure.
So it felt like that. But I knew no one was there. I knew that we did not have children. There was no one short. And I knew a lot of weird shit was going on. It freaked me the fuck out. And I tried waking up Dave. I was like, David, wake up. There's something. He's like, you're fine. Just go back to sleep. And I'm like, how the fuck am I going to go back to sleep after seeing that?
You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Since you're saying so. But I'm like, fuck it. What do I do? Classic thing. Throw the fucking covers over your head. And I just like kind of curled into Dave and like, I was like, whatever. Like, there's like literally nothing. Yeah. I'm like, just fucking fall asleep, chill out. Like, it's fine. You can't do anything about it. And the next night I felt like it was staring right next to me. It was right next to my bed this time, staring at me. Oh, hell no.
Fuck that.
Yeah. And so I talked to one of my friends. I was like, what the fuck do I do? And she's like, oh, I have stuff like this happen all the time. She was like kind of psychic. And I was like, whatever. She was fucking kind of weird too. But like, and now she does like undertaking and stuff. Like
like an undertaker.
Yeah. Like does like mortuary like stuff. Yeah. Which like totally fucking figures. Cause that's exactly the type of person she was. Anyways, she told me, you have to say like, you're not allowed to come home with me. Like, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Intentions, right?
Yeah. And so I did. I was like, you're not allowed you need to stay at the art museum. You're not welcome here. And after that second night, I didn't have anything happen to me.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And they say it's tied to like the kids' Victorian house if you're in Denver, the Denver Art Museum, there's a Victorian child's like playhouse, and it's in the European section in the old building. But that's
a full-on reconstructed doll house?
It's a doll house. It's a doll house.
Like you could walk in?
No, you can't walk into it. It's like a child's
it's like you play with your dolls. Gotcha.
Yes, from the Victorian era.
Gotcha.
And so there's a lot of activity on that floor, and a lot of people think that that's where it's coming from.
It's attached.
Yes. Whatever it is attached to that dollhouse. So yeah, you can go and see it. But people say that fucking thing is haunted, and I can say that like something fucking happened.
Wow.
Yeah. Have you had anything like that happen?
No.
Okay.
But I want to. So for the listeners, Roy, God, I called you Roy. Alicia and I went to Glenwood Springs. Mm-hmm. Stayed in the Hotel Colorado. Nothing happened.
No, we were like determined to catch.
Bummed.
Yeah, we were determined to catch like a ghost or like
not even a bump in the night.
Nothing. Well, shit going down the fucking
down the sewer drain.
The sewer drain right next to my head, which I was telling you. Remember that? So we had a room, and like it was 2 queen beds, and mine is like near. I don't like to sleep near the door, so I made Kevin sleep next to the door.
Fuck, like so that if someone comes in and I get killed first.
Exactly. But you did it, so don't even. You're fine with it. So I'm laying down next to the shit tube, which. In the corner, mind you, these rooms are not like
oh my god
cheap.
No.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
We walked in and we were like, we had a million. We still haven't even created that. Like,
I still need to do that.
The review. But anyways, I like woke up. I'm like, oh, I said, actually, it wasn't that bad. Like sleeping last night. I said, I like falling asleep to like running water, like rain and stuff. And you're like, and I was like, and there was like something right now. He's like, Kevin's like, yeah, you mean the shit that's going by right next to your fucking head? And I looked at him like, well, thanks, fuck.
Oh my God. Just like big 4-inch diameter tube that run down the side of the wall.
Massive. It was
ridiculous.
Massive.
Ridiculous.
And we're paying how much?
Oh my God. It was so preposterous. And we didn't even get a ghost.
We didn't even get a ghost. That's really the fucking point.
That was the point.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Bummer.
So to answer your question, no.
To answer your question, I was attempting that, but no.
No. Yeah. Okay. So also PIs, a good PI, paranormal investigator, they will start their investigation by researching, the history of the location. Mm-hmm. They want to understand like what's happened, uncover the past events and at the location.
Different energies that could potentially be there.
Sure, of course. Which exactly it can explain things, helps explain the phenomena. They'll study old records, interview witnesses, all of that just to get the background before they do all of that flashy shenanigans.
Right. Right. EVPs and like.
God. Don't get me started.
But it would make sense that they need to have like some kind of like base knowledge of the
course.
area that they're in.
A good one would.
Right. Yeah.
Sure. Yes. So they try to be a good, again, I'm talking about good, valid paranormal investigators, not the ones that are just doing it to be famous.
A la Zach Bagans.
A la D-bag. So they try to be systematic, methodical, analyze their findings, be very critical. And then while searching for paranormal causes, credible investigators will also consider an attempt to rule in natural explanations. I mean, you don't want to just go, it's whatever.
Yes.
Right?
Right. If it's a shit tube right next to your head, you want to know it's a shit tube.
It's literally a shit tube. So a critical aspect of paranormal investigation, they have to be very systematic, and they're going to use, again, the knowledge of the historical past, plus now, and every time it gets a little bit better, more technology. And we're going to talk about each of the types of tools that a investigator can use in their investigation. So we're going to talk about first the traditional stuff.
Okay.
So do you know what a divination rod is?
Okay. Yes. And this is where our fourth wall once again breaks.
Okay.
Because we did a little bit of this when we were in Glenwood Springs. And if you go onto our TikTok, you'll see Kevin using it.
It's fun.
So there's a woman on TikTok, and I think she also has a YouTube. Like, I don't know, some kind of crazy name. It's like Soul Shine, spiritualist or something. I don't know. She has these dowsing rods, or what did you call them? Divination rods?
Divination rods, yeah. Or divining rods, spirit rods, yeah. Dowsing rods, lots of names. Yeah.
But like, she holds them and she'll ask like questions. And it might be like, who's going to win the election? Like, or is Kamala Harris? Yeah. So it's always yes or no questions.
Yeah.
And you're holding onto these rods.
Yes.
And they move back and forth.
Yes.
And so we did our own little spoof of
yeah, we sure did.
Of it.
But see, she's so very serious.
She's incredibly serious. And people submit questions to her.
Yes.
And she will answer them using the dowsing rods.
And it's
or
either
the divination rods.
Yes or no, or
like undecided or something, or like no answer.
No answer. Yeah, no answer.
If they don't move.
Right.
So like it goes anywhere between like, practical like question, like will who's going to win the 2024 election, or to something crazy like, was Jesus an alien in like this,
exactly.
Whatever.
Any yes no question you can imagine.
It's insane. Anything. It's crazy. So like that's one of the ways that I know about divination rods. And like, didn't they used to like discover water? Yeah. Yeah. That's what I think
that's what they were
used.
That's how I used. That's how I always knew them until, not recently, but I knew that later I realized, they're using those to connect to spirits. Right.
So
which is fascinating.
It's like a communication.
Which I guess it makes sense. Like if you can use physical objects to somehow communicate with another dimension or spirits, then why not rods? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And the idea is that it's easier to move. I think I've told you the story about trying to move the crystal in the glass, right? It's the same thing, like the idea that's free form, so it's easier to move than, a boulder.
Right.
Right.
Right. It's a little bit easier. You can concentrate on it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take as much energy.
Right.
Right. So if you're, communicating with spirits, they're dead. They don't have as much energy to like put forth.
Right. Yes. I guess this is the idea. Yes.
Yeah.
Trigger object. So trigger object is an item placed in a location with the intention of attracting a spirit.
Oh, yeah.
Ghost hunters choose objects that may have significance to the spirit, such as a personal belonging or a toy or something like that. Then this object is monitored for movement or other signs of interaction, which are considered evidence of a ghostly presence. Now, if you remember, we talked about something similar on Flight 401.
Yes.
That episode.
Yeah.
And how the planes that were used, they used parts of the plane from Flight 401 in other planes. And then for those planes, people reported apparitions and sightings because the energy was attached to those pieces.
Yes, yes.
So same kind of, concept with the trigger objects. It helps, especially like mediums, if PIs use mediums, then they can bring a medium in. They would also help them you can use trigger objects.
Right. Even Tyler Henry, who does like the psychic.
Love
the Hollywood
him.
medium. Oh, I love him too. He's
Not
so
only
great.
is he just freaking adorable.
Oh, he's so adorable and he's so sweet.
So sweet.
But he oftentimes will have trigger items just to like
That's
connect
right.
to an energy or something.
Exactly.
Or like places like you might have like toys where kids used to be.
Exactly.
To like potentially, yeah.
Right. Exactly. Okay, then of course there are things that we all know about and we see them on TV, seances. And seances are gatherings where participants attempt to communicate with spirits, often with the help of a medium. Mm-hmm. And this practice involves a group of people sitting in a circle, sometimes with their hands joined. They create this connection to the spirit world. And then seances have been used since the 19th century. I mean, like very ancient, like old practice.
Yes.
Now, we did an episode a long while ago, and we also talked about, I can't remember what the episode was, something ghost specific, but we talked about how they would use these seances and these boards, chalkboards and stuff.
Yes.
But it was a scam.
Yes, it was a total scam. It wasn't communicating with the spirits.
Yes, that was the episode.
Yeah.
Yes. They would use complete trickery to get people out of money.
It was really just manipulation of people.
Exactly.
Like that was like and it was during the Victorian era, which like people were all more, super gullible, and like spiritualism was a huge thing. But yeah, seances aren't necessarily like a bad or like, they can be used like a medium, like maybe someone like Tyler Henry who would that technically be a seance? Like, let's say Tyler Henry was in a group reading.
No, because I think a seance involves, that's a good question though, because
what's like the difference?
What is the difference? Because this says a practice involves a group of people sitting in a circle, sometimes hands joined to create a connection to the spirit world. Whereas what Tyler does, I guess he's not always, but he does sometimes do the group where he tries to get lots of spirits in. But yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Like, what defines a seance versus, a medium being at the group of people? That's an interesting question. I don't know.
I think when it comes to like a medium is like someone who can talk directly with, a group of people. Maybe a seance is where everyone's energy is being used in order to allow that like conversation happening. I don't fucking know. Sorry. Tangent.
Okay, then there's spirit writing.
Yes.
Now, spirit writing also, this is known as automatic writing or psychography, which we've also talked about before.
Yes.
And this is a psychic ability that allows people to write words without being conscious of it. And practitioners believe that spirits are manipulating their hand while holding a writing instrument like a pen or a pencil. Now,
Right.
typically, a paranormal investigator typically wouldn't have this ability. So this is when paranormal investigators will generally get the help of a psychic or a medium. And then the medium or the psychic would use this particular skill. I've tried this before with my mom when I was young.
Yeah, you did this like when you were like 7 or something. You and your mom would do it?
We'd actually do it.
Yeah, and this was like something we had talked about quite a few times, that you guys had been doing it and you would get answers.
I would actually do it. Yeah, my dad actually remembers me doing it, and I think my dad remembers his, what we call your guide or your spirit guide's name.
Yeah.
I would ask his name. I think it was Alan. And then we tried to do spirit writing, and then I felt like an Alan.
There was an Alan that came through. But it wasn't spirit writing, was it? I think that it was it the Ouija board that we used?
Oh, it was the Ouija board. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is another one. That was the next one. So speaking of, a Ouija board, if you don't know, this is flat board. It's marked with letters and numbers, and it's used to communicate with the spirits by spelling out a message. So the participants will hold, or they will touch a planchette. It's a little triangular device, has a window in it.
Yes.
And all the participants will lightly touch it. And the idea is that you ask questions and the spirits would spell out the response, hovering the window over a letter.
Right. Yeah.
There's also a yes and a no. Now, despite the tremendous skepticism, this is actually one of the most common tools with ghost hunting when they pull in a medium.
Is a
Ouija board.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know why I did not think that. I would have thought that, that I guess it's almost like texting.
Yeah, exactly. Spirit world texting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a lot easier than like trying to have someone like interpret data or information or trying to read someone's shitty handwriting.
Yes. I guess unless you can't do like what was his name? The cute blonde guy?
Oh, Tyler Henry.
Yeah, who actually gets, I guess, pictures and images and can kind of, rather than having to, be spelled out the words, he can actually see them. And
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he has to interpret like the images.
Interpret it, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what divination is?
Oh, I always get divination confused. Is divination where that doesn't have to do with numbers, does it?
No, it's the divination mat and a divination pendulum and crystal.
Yes, I do know that. Yeah.
Yeah. This one I don't fully understand. I guess it's the same concept as like what I was talking about before, when you can start moving things with your mind.
Right.
And a crystal on a chain is easier than, a heavy object or some object. But I'm not fully sure what's supposed to happen. Like if you hold it, like, is the crystal like literally supposed to like blip, 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 or you know what I mean? Like,
so I've done like, I had a friend who was really into it for a while and like for years. So like she would do it and we'd ask it questions and stuff like that. And she would use it, and like, here's the thing. Yeah. So the idea behind it is that like the properties within the crystal or the what is it fucking called? Like whatever like type of rock or stone it is, like they're able to manipulate or like utilize the energy within that. Like it's just easier for it to move through, like the energy to move through, almost like maybe acting as if it's a battery that can be moved, like a battery, like so it can hold energy and then move it. So when you're holding on to the pendulum, you're balancing it and it's hanging off of a chain. But here's the problem with that. It's those involuntary movements that you have
that gets the crystal moving.
Yes. So it's like just a little slight, like, shake of your hand, or let's say you're holding it up against like your knee or something and your leg slightly moving, or your heart's beating fast. Like, I'm assuming that's going to move it. And so what the pendulum will do is it'll like go around in a circle. It will arc like from one side to the next, like maybe it'll go left and right, or like forwards and backwards. Like, you know, those are like the different ways that it can go. And then people will find out what their yeses and their nos are. So you're still asking like the dowsing rods, like the same yes or no's questions. It's not like texting.
Yeah, and those divination mats, I think they just have more options.
They do. So like that swings over to a yes or to a no or to maybe or sure, or like ask, you know, like a magic 8 ball.
Yeah, magic 8 ball. That's next on my list. No, I'm just kidding.
How did you know? This is another divination tool.
Okay, so but now let's talk about more modern technological methods.
Okay.
So one of them is an EMF, or electromagnetic field meter. And now this one measures electromagnetic fields, which ghost hunters believe can indicate presence of a spirit. Now, the theory is that spirits disrupt the natural electromagnetic field, and that's what causes the fluctuations and the spikes, and they can be detected by this meter. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've ever, pardon me, I don't know if you've ever, probably not, done electrical work.
No,
not recently.
Kevin, I don't work with my hands, not like that.
So there's this thing where you can use it to detect if a wire is hot or not. And all you have to do is just kind of hold it up, and it will go off if there's like something passing through it, whether it be electricity or data. You can use it for data cable. Like,
okay, or what about like Christmas lights? You can tell if something's
that's a good example. Okay. Yes, they have that too, like the Christmas light bulb fixer, and you can go, is this one burnt? Is this one burnt? You
can find the one that's burnt.
Same concept. Yeah. Same concept. Well, this is the same thing. Like, it detects electromagnetic fields. They're just in a much better range, but those you have to literally hold up to the cable. With these, like, you know, it's much broader. Right. We played with one.
Yes.
And like, it can detect some weird shit. Like, at one point we thought, okay, it's acting weird. Yeah, we could not. It was like going really fucking high. Like the brand, like, for no reason. No reason. We didn't move it or anything. But then we're like, well, okay, well, was something like we had a or I don't know, it was the wireless microphone or something. We chalked it up to that. Yes. But that's the problem with these things. Like, there's too many things in our air. Right. That can affect that, and that, you know, microwaves and radio signals and cellular signals and satellites and like too much. Well, yeah, I think that like that could have been a great tool had we been, you know, even like 30 years ago. Exactly. But today, I don't know, I have an Apple Watch, I have Bluetooth, I have an iPad, a Bluetooth, phone. That's a great example. Yes. That radiates like 30 feet. Right. Yeah, right. So if you're trying to, like, good luck, go out into Podunk, wherever. Yeah. And hope. Exactly. But like, yeah, I don't know how reliable they are. Have you tried using the EMF detector? Not beyond when we were at the hotel. Yeah. No. Because I'm like, there's too many variables. Yes. I couldn't trust it. Like, to be like, oh, it's going off, it's a spirit. No, there's too much shit in my house, especially my house. I know, your house. My house is crazy. Yeah. Okay. In a good way. Okay, then there's EVPs, which is electronic voice phenomenon. Yes, your favorite. My favorite thing ever. They're so great. You are obsessed with EVPs. Yes. Like, Kevin sends me EVPs like multiple times a week, and I'm like, Kevin, lay off. This is not saying anything. Oh my God. So EVPs refer to sounds found on electronic recording devices that are interpreted as spirit voices. Right. Ghost hunters use digital recorders to capture ambient sounds, later analyzing the recordings for voices or noises that were not heard during the recording session. Now, some ghost hunters believe that spirits can communicate through these recordings.
Right.
What do you think about EVPs, Alicia?
I don't know. Okay, so do I think that like EVPs are something that like people that, you know, spirits could potentially like, you know, communicate through? Like, I think that there are like, you know, potentially radio signals, like things that like they can potentially manipulate. I think that there's also the idea of suggestion, which we've talked about in our Mandela Effect podcast. We talk about how suggestibility is pretty strong, and like how easy, even for like lip readers and stuff, to misinterpret what's being said or to make something out of nothing, right? Like, it's so easy for us. Like if someone says, hey, what does this say? You're like, okay, well, it says something. If someone's telling me it says something, then I have to figure out what it is.
Oh, yeah, that could be it.
Yeah. It says, Auntie M, I want to come home. You know, like people are like, oh, yeah, actually, I do hear that. I do hear Auntie M.
You're right.
Yeah, what the heck? But in reality, like, I think that I would love to believe it. It's one of those things that I would love to believe. But in reality, I just don't think it's, I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Like I've seen some television or some, you know, like ghost hunter shows where the, you know, all this obviously has to be recorded for television, and they'll play back and you can literally hear something say, you know, like, get out.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty clear.
Yes.
So I think that kind of exists, but like 99.999% of the time, I think this is exactly what you said. It's just suggestion.
Yeah, it's incredibly rare.
Yeah, I think incredibly rare.
Yeah.
And again, Flight 401, we talked about this, and I kind of go off on a tangent about this a-hole that tries to convince you about something that's not real. And I think it's just it. It's just trying to convince you.
Yeah.
It's just, have you seen the thing on TikTok?
Which one?
Bad lip reading.
Yes. Yeah.
It's the best.
It's so good.
And you see the one about like where they do like Senate hearings and stuff?
Oh, yeah. They'll do it on everything, right?
It looks real. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh my God, they literally said I have a tack in my flip-flop.
Yeah. You're like, why would they say that? They're not even wearing like flip-flops.
That just goes to your point. Like
Suggestibility. Yeah.
I mean, we all know it's fake.
Right.
It's intended. But my point being is that it looks exactly like what they're saying.
Yeah, but it goes to show like okay, so you have all these tools in a toolbox, right? Like some of them are going to be useful at some times and some of them just won't be, right? Like you don't need a fucking socket wrench for everything. Like
exactly.
Sometimes you need a fucking hammer, and you know, all of these things like coexisting together, like could they, you know, make sense for a PI? Like I think it could.
That's the point. The point. Yes, exactly. So then we have infrared thermometers and thermal imaging cameras, and these detect heat or sometimes the opposite, cold, allowing ghost hunters to see temperature variations that could indicate the presence of a spirit. Cold spots or unexplained heat signatures are considered potential evidence of paranormal activity. So this one, I kind of get torn with this one, because if you believe that a spirit can be hot or cold, then that means they're somehow physically in this plane.
Yeah.
Now, could they manipulate it? Maybe that's what it is. They're manipulating it, just like they could move things, I guess. Same concept, maybe.
Could it also just be an aspect of the phenomena that, like, you know, you are okay, let's say like it's an energy, and like the energy just like like heat, you know, you have different energy, and like it can create heat, like it'll get warmer if things are like interacting with each other. So perhaps it can do the same thing. Like this phenomena causes this cold spot, like this energy is like, that's like a byproduct of the energy being there. So I'm with you. Like, I think there could be a lot, like, once again, is it a fucking flathead screwdriver in the toolbox?
Yeah.
Like potentially, like, but is it necessary? Like, isn't there, like, what do these things do? It adds like what, scientific credence or validity, right?
I guess that's just it too. Like when you add all of these things, like, well, not one thing is the answer. It's like a combination of things in context of their views or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's true. Then they have night vision cameras.
Yes.
That's for documenting paranormal activity in low light conditions. These cameras use infrared light to illuminate things, allowing ghost hunters to capture evidence in complete darkness. You know, we've all seen TV shows where it's complete. Silence of the Lambs is a great one. That one freaks me out so much. That scene. But then, so this is just me being Mr. Skepticism.
Sure.
Why do they have to be at night?
Right.
Well, we know the answer because it's dramatic.
Dramatic for sure. But also, if someone's going to like a public area, like let's say it's like a mansion or something, or, you know, a government building, like nobody's going to be there after like work hours. So if you're going to try to do an investigation in some of these, or it's a museum like Molly Brown House
So it's
Museum,
going to be a night.
You can only do it at night because there's no, like, people are using it during the day. It's being, you know, there's too much interference with the public.
Yeah, I guess I get that. Yeah.
But does it also add to the dramatics, like on a
course
television
it does.
show? Like a television show could definitely buy out the space, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if they really wanted to go to somewhere, like they could do it during the day.
But that's
Yeah.
not as creepy.
It's never as creepy or dramatic.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. More motion detectors is another one. We all kind of know what
Right.
those are. Same kind of concept. Then we have spirit boxes. Have you ever heard of the Estes method?
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I did not know what you were talking about when we had talked about this before, but please tell me again, because I remember it, but
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people know about the Estes method.
Okay, so a spirit box is a device that it rapidly scans the radio frequencies. So imagine if you had an AM FM radio and you started at 88 and you're scrolling up through the stations really fast to the top one, and then you go back to the bottom. You just keep doing this repeatedly. Okay, that's ultimately what a spirit box is.
It's nonstop.
It's
like you turn it on
nonstop.
and it's just constantly
it just keeps doing that. Exactly. And so this basically creates this noise bed that spirits are believed that they can manipulate to form words or phrases, these sounds that are generated through scanning through these radio frequencies rapidly. Mm-hmm. Now, ghost hunters use spirit boxes to facilitate real-time communication with spirits, interpreting any coherent sounds as messages from the beyond. Now, here's a fun fact. The Estes method, it was developed by a guy named Carl Pfeiffer during an investigation at the famous Stanley Hotel, which is where?
Estes Park, Colorado.
There you go. So we played with this a little bit.
We did, yeah.
And Alicia put on the headphones. So here's the Estes method. So let me explain the Estes method.
Yeah.
So you have one person who has supposed to be noise canceling headphones, and they put them on. And so when you turn on the spirit box and it starts scanning through the sounds, all the person with the headphones hears is the scanning of the radio frequency. They can't hear the other person in the room.
No.
And the other person in the room asks questions of the spirit. And what the responsibility of the person wearing the headphones is they're supposed to say out when they hear something, a word or a phrase, they're supposed to just say it, right? They can't hear the person asking the question. So if I'm listening and I'm going celebrity, they're hearing all this
So I'm
noise.
I'm like,
I don't know.
Is anyone
Green
here
wall.
with me? Yeah. So the other person's asking the question, and you're supposed to be like it's like sensory deprivation.
Yes,
so you have
blindfold.
mask, so you can't look at the person who's asking a question. So you're not reading their lips or like interpreting what they're saying. All you're doing is listening to the radio frequency. And honestly, like as we were scanning through it, I couldn't hear anything but the radio. Because it's so loud, and I had no noise canceling headphones, so it was like just constantly going through and cycling through.
Yes,
and you were asking questions the whole time,
and you had tight blindfolds on, so you had no light.
Yep.
Yes, and the whole time she's doing this, I'm asking questions like, "Are there any spirits? What is your name? How did you die?" All these questions like that,
right.
And then letting Alicia. The idea is that then the spirit is communicating ultimately through hearing my questions and then manipulating the sound waves so that Alicia would say the word or the words in response to the question.
Yeah.
It was a bust.
There were a couple of
There was a couple of times when she would say things that kind of made sense to what I was asking. Which, if you think about it, is kind of weird because you don't know what I'm asking.
No,
and for it to fit is kind of odd. But for the most part, it didn't really work. There are videos out there where you see people doing this where it's supposedly real. Right. That seems like crazy. You're like, whoa.
And so this is kind of what I will say about it. I think... like, is there actually something to this? I think that there could potentially be something to this, but also I don't think I knew what I was doing or what I was listening for. So it was really hard because it's scanning through so quickly. It's really hard to pick out words.
Yeah.
So I'd hear something, like there was something that you had said and the thing laughed. Like I heard.
Oh yeah, because one time you went, ha 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 ha.
Yeah. And it was fucking creepy on the receiving end because I didn't know what he was saying. And all of a sudden I heard ha 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 like in there. And so I just repeated it and I'm like, oh my God, this is so scary. Like, what is he asking? Is it, are you going to kill us? Ha ha ha. Oh God. Right. Yeah. But I think part of it is, you have to get to know how to use the technology. So I will say maybe the cool thing about the Estes method is you can get answers pretty quickly. Like you don't have to wait around.
Yes.
You don't have to use someone else. It's you and your friend, you can be asking questions.
Yes.
And if you get to know how, what to listen for in your headset, then it's easier to interpret what's being said. It just sounds like static, like cycling through. So it's a little overwhelming, to be honest, when you're doing it. Yeah, because
imagine. Yeah.
It's not silence and then just one, thing
it's
pops in.
Constant noise.
It's constant noise. So it's it's a lot to do. So I think that a lot of these paranormal investigators, if they're doing this, they've been doing it for a while. So that's why they have such great results, is maybe they know how to use it a little bit better, or they're also doing it over hours and hours of time. I think we maybe did it for 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
Not very long. But if we had 2 hours of footage, we probably would have several answers that made sense.
But do you think you could listen to it for that long?
I don't think I could.
I don't think I could. It's complete, like you said, sensory deprivation.
Yes.
With nothing but crazy radio static.
Yes, in your ears.
I think that would kind of drive you insane.
It does. And it was kind of scary. I bet it was kind of scary. Yeah. I was telling Kevin that because we recorded it, and it kind of freaked me out while we were going through the stations. There was a point in time I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on. I have no, I'm a control freak and I have to relinquish some control.
100%.
I don't like Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. You still need to do it. You might just be better at it.
I need to try it.
Yeah.
Just because I want to experience it.
Yes, you have to. We have to do it.
Yeah, we'll do that. And then, we can maybe post it on one of our socials.
I do think that's one of the more legitimate ones, at least from my perspective. It seems.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, out of all of these, I
think and we, we kind of made fun of it, the dowsing. Okay, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
if you are honest about it, the problem is a lot of people are not. If you're honest about it and you know how to use a tool really well, you can do a lot of things with it. So perhaps like things like dowsing rods, like people actually can get some kind of communication through. Like I'm not going to say it's all bullshit.
Right.
Like I think 99% of it is bullshit. Like, but is there still 1% for sure? Yeah, I totally believe that. But the dowsing rods are so easy to manipulate. Like I don't.
So easy.
Yeah.
Well, in our spoof,
Yes.
even like I did everything I could not to move my hands, and like some of like you can't see my hands moving, but I've controlling the answers.
Yes, like we were shooting it. We knew how we wanted it to answer.
Yes, we knew how we wanted it to work.
And so you would slightly shift.
Just it takes nothing.
Nothing. It takes nothing. You were way better at it than I was. Mine were just like moving around the whole time. But I think that one's bullshit. Like, then again, like I do like the Estes method. I think you're right with the electrical.
The EMPs, the
EMF detector. I think I just feel like the idea is really cool, but we just have so much technology in our world that
agreed.
I mean, it's so hard unless you were like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, like in a complete
cabin.
dead zone with nothing.
And you didn't have your phone on you.
Right.
You know, like that's the only way that I could like buy it.
Right.
In like a ghost town. Like I can't buy it any other way.
Agreed.
And even then I would
agreed.
doubt it. So I think that like a lot of these things could be used, but like they have to be incredibly specific. But there's a lot of charlatans out there.
That's the thing too.
So if you're like, if someone's coming to you and is like, hey, I'm having like, I want to talk to my daughter and she died and like, can you help me? Or like, there's like some weird stuff happening in my house. Like, what are you going to do? Like, are you going to take $1,000 from them and fix the plumbing issue? Or are you going to like... and like do an overnight investigation, aka fixing their plumbing and overcharging them. Like it's so easy to do that kind of shit and to take advantage of people.
Totally.
And I think that's the rub on a lot of these things.
I know. And it makes the good ones go into the pool of bad.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Well, everyone just doubts them, the validity of them.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm with you. I think some of it is legit. I think some of it can be legit.
Yeah.
A lot of it is shenanigans. People taking advantage of people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. There's plausibility to all of it.
Yes.
It's possible. Majority of the time, I'd say
it's bullshit.
BS.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Unfortunately.
I know. We always like wish that these things were real. When we went to Glenwood, we were like, we're going to find a ghost.
Yeah.
We know we're going to.
Well, see, and that's the other thing we always talk about. It's like, and let me just say this. If you're going to try this stuff, like it's always about intention.
Yes.
Like make sure you don't have any effed up intentions.
Yes.
Because you're just asking for trouble.
Absolutely.
So just go in with a very peaceful intention behind it, and you'll be okay. But if you go in there going, oh yeah, like I'm gonna let Satan out of the hellhole, and that kind of craziness, you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah, it's like leaving your door open up wide, like your house door. You leave your house door open up wide. Who's going to come in? Not like the good house guest who like
exactly
who like
the good people aren't going to come in your house.
No, it's always going to be the riffraff. So just be careful when you're opening up these doors.
Good analogy. Yes. And EVPs, by the way, top of my list about shenanigans. Just have to say that.
That's why I'm like teasing him. He absolutely hates them.
So now. With all of these tools put together, you can imagine, right? They all paint a picture,
right?
And it's not just one thing that's going to answer the question, but all of these, like we said before, can add validity or support another thing under the circumstances and intention that it was done.
Yes.
Yeah. So that all can be useful. And that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
so just, I guess I would like to leave people with, our saying, like we say in the top of every show, is keep an open mind, keep a skeptical ear.
Yes.
Don't be gullible.
People are going to try to take advantage.
We're going to try to take advantage. Just use your own common sense.
Yes. Yes. And be safe.
Yes, and be safe. Yeah, you can do the Ouija stuff and just be safe, please.
Yeah. Be safe about it. Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining me today.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Very soon.
Okay. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.